Hey y'all, it's Laura Kennedy and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to focus on preparing for PhD interviews for grad school. So we're in the midst of interview season and I am actually a student host this year for my university for interviews, and I have 3 students that I'm hosting, and I just thought like it would be a great idea to put this video out and help other people for or during their interview process. So I have a few tips and advice. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them down below. But this is just kind of like an overview of what I felt like was most important and what I think would have helped me prepare for my interviews. So the first thing is to be confident, y'all. I cannot stress this enough. Confidence is key. Like when you show up like you belong in that space and you belong there, it shows. And for my first interview, I was extremely nervous. I wasn't as confident. I felt like you have to be confident in your abilities because you made it here this far. So the next thing is to know what your application and your CV says, y'all. This is important because they're going to ask you about your research experiences and things that you've done. So it's important that you know everything that you put on your CV because sometimes you might be asked about it. This goes for the same thing for your application. Knowing what's on your application is super important because it shows that you wrote it, you put the time in, and also that it's telling your story. Most times your personal statement tells your story, why you want to apply, what made you apply to that school, and try your best to know what you wrote down and what you turned in to that institution. I kept all of my documents for each school, like applications, I kept them all organized in folders, so if necessary I could always reference back to them in case I needed to refresh my brain. The next thing is to rehearse with someone. This is super important, just even practicing your introduction or how you introduce yourself, because first impressions are everything, especially in this. It's such a short time period, but when they ask you about yourself, you want to know exactly what you did or something important to highlight yourself. To start, for example, I, of course, I didn't really say my name, but I kind of mentioned like the institution that I went to, what type of research I was interested in, and why I was interested, or what important things drew me to that program. I think that's really important. It doesn't really have to be rehearsed, but in some way just know what you're going to say so it rolls off the tongue. The next thing is to be prepared to talk about why you applied to that school and why you're interested in that program. You're going to want to know what drew you to that institution in particular and why you decided to apply there. What past experiences have led you to apply to this program, whether it be the core facilities, whether it be the programs, the community, the support, the research, most importantly the research. What factors at the university would make you a successful grad student at this university? That's really important to know. Or institution. That's really important to know because that's the whole reason why you're applying to this university or why you didn't decide to apply to a different institution. I want to say also like your purpose in pursuing graduate school. I think that falls in the same category because when you apply to grad school, you obviously have a reason or some sort of passion for research or passion to make a change in some shape or form. Knowing your purpose would help during your interview process ultimately. Along that category as well as like issues you would like to address or you would like to fix within like your research or potentially at the university as well. I didn't really focus on this during my interviews in terms of issues. I did talk about some issues in the scientific field, like gaps that I wanted to bridge within it, like with my PhD. I think those are kind of in a similar boat. The next advice that I would have is take advantage of your student host. I'm a student host and I had a great student host last year, so most times student hosts are designated to help you strictly with your interviews or with any questions you may have. Take advantage and ask all the questions. Ask them for advice or what helped them during their interview. Ask them what to expect to calm your nerves. That's what they're there for. Ask them as many questions as you want because ultimately they're there to help you and support you and uplift you. I think that really helped during my interview process. I think my interview would have went a lot differently if I didn't have such a supportive student host and that definitely helped me out a lot. Another thing is not all questions are scientific. I say that because on my resume, I wrote that I was an athlete and I had a clothing line and stuff. I mean, that's a part of who I am. I also was a graphic design minor. I feel like they ask you questions to see like how well-rounded you are, also to kind of break the ice. So don't be surprised if you get a few questions about like some of the personal things. I don't know if everybody else puts personal things in their CV or resume, but I definitely did. I don't know, I just felt like it would make me a more well-rounded person to show that I have other interests. I was also considering potentially maybe going into scientific illustration in the future. I think that's why I put some of that stuff on there. I don't know, just to kind of show my versatility as a person, and I feel like it helped break the ice in some situations, which I thought was pretty cool. Also during this time, not necessarily to the faculty, but just as student hosts, ask about living, ask about like the stipend, like I said, take advantage of it, talk about maybe like potential healthcare, what are some student benefits, talk about the life there at the university, how people are thriving so far. Me personally, as a first year, I feel like before my student host, I don't have that much advice because I'm still kind of fresh to the process, but being a senator, it has given me a little bit more insight about how things work, and also like experience with my rotations have given me a lot of knowledge, but I don't have the specific advice for how it would be long term in a program. So also kind of be aware of what year your student host is in. And I'm saying this a lot because I'm a student host, so I can kind of relate back to it. Hopefully this is helping y'all. I don't know. And the last piece of advice that I have for interviews is to relax, speak up, of course give direct eye contact. Oh, this was another one that is very important because I'm prepared or dressed as if this is like a real professional interview. I wouldn't say like best dressed like Sunday's best, but business casual, like look presentable. Sure that you have on a nice blazer, cardigan, something, dressed to impress, because this is a professional opportunity and you want to make sure that you look your best. When you look your best, you feel your best. And I made sure like I was dressing up for my interviews. I was ready. I wanted to show that I was taking this serious. I keep saying this is my last piece of advice, but a lot of things are coming up that I'm thinking about. Also, do not get on your phone. Like, do not get on your phone. Try your best to minimize distractions during that time. I'm pretty sure if you have an interview, most people know that you are interviewing. So I would recommend potentially putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, clearing all distractions, and putting your phone on the opposite end of the table. For my university, interviews were virtual, so it was really kind of easy to see if somebody was being easily distracted by their phone. And like I said, y'all, first impressions are everything. You don't want to set a bad impression by having your phone out or being on your phone. It's just not really a good look. Also, if on virtual interviews, make sure that you're in a quiet, isolated place, not like me. Don't make sure that you're somewhere where there's a lot going on, there's so many things going on around you that you can't focus on the interview or hear them. Your environment means everything. I don't know if the institution tells you that prior to, but your environment is everything, and be attentive. Also, most times in interviews, faculty just kind of talk about their research, and make sure to have a time where you can talk about yourself and leave a good impression to be memorable. Find pockets or spaces to talk about your research or even connect to their research, because most times faculty, they are assigned to you based on your research interests. So find time to connect or try to relate back to some of the research that they're interested in, and kind of connect it to yours. It's showing that you're engaged, you're excited. So I would Lastly, I would say the final thing is to have enthusiasm. Show that you want to be there. Yeah, going back to the first point, just have confidence. Be confident in yourself and be confident in your abilities. And yeah, you got this, guys. I know it's a really stressful time and it's very nerve-wracking because you don't know what the future may hold, but I promise you it'll all work out. Everything happens for a reason. And like I said, if you guys have any more questions or anything else that you guys would like me to talk about in regards to grad school, please leave it down in the comments. Thank you all for tuning in. I love you all, and I will see y'all later. Bye.